on Judging webinar. I hope you can all hear us. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the National Business Awards webinar this afternoon, the secrets of winning awards and how to create an award-winning presentation with some of our top tips for the upcoming virtual judging sessions. We hope that you can all hear us. I will do formal introductions, but we do have a questions bar at the top right of the screen. If you're encountering any problems, please do let us know. We request that you type in your questions, and what we will do is we'll go through our presentations and then we'll answer your questions at the end for you. So I hope that everyone is able to log in and join us. Once again, good afternoon and welcome to the National Business Awards Secrets of Winning Awards presentation, how to create an award-winning presentation for our upcoming judging sessions. Right, I think it's good for us to move on, and I will tell you a little bit more about myself. We have two presenters for this afternoon. I am Sarah Austin. I am the director for the Lloyds Bank National Business Awards. I have been working on this program now for about 11 years, and we have seen it all, but we have not seen a year quite like 2020. So I want to welcome you all this afternoon and hope that you bear with us whilst we all adapt to these new ways of working. And firstly and foremostly, I want to congratulate all of our finalists this year. My goodness, what a year it's been. And I think that you definitely, the most deserving group of people. Amazingly, we had more entries this year than we have in previous. And I think that's testament to the UK business community and how hard you're working to make sure that your business stands out. What we noticed over the judging period recently is that I've noticed everyone's a little bit sharper. Everyone really, really wants it a little bit more. The competition is fierce. And I've also noticed that the levels of honesty that are coming through, and I think it's really fantastic for you to share these stories. And I think it's fair to say that this year you will be judged slightly differently, and I think that the judges will obviously take into account everything that's happened and appreciate every single ounce of honesty that you give us. Finally, before I go on to my next presenter, I want to also say that this is a really good time for you all to use this platform and use it wisely. You will have received the emails from the team last week, and hopefully you will have seen our finalist resources page in more detail. It's been great to see how many of you have used all of the artworks that we sent out to you, but I want to remind you that we also have a press release template in there, and I encourage you to speak to your marketing and PR teams in more detail and just really utilise that press team, and also the press team that the National Business Awards has with the details on our Meet the Team website. If you contact our team, we'll be able to help you and help you push that message out there to tell the nation that you are a finalist in this national platform. So without further ado, I will hand you over to our next presenter. Donna, it's lovely to have you here. It's always a pleasure working together, and if you could share your tips to the finalists for 2020, that will be brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us. So obviously, I'm going to reiterate what Sarah said in that I don't think you can really underestimate what a fantastic achievement it is to have reached the finals of the National Business Awards. It's something that I'm asked about a lot, and I'm very happy to talk to you more about later on after our presentation today. So just to give you, if we haven't met or we haven't spoken before, then my name's Donna O'Toole. I run an awards consultancy called August. We help businesses across the world to raise their profile by winning prestigious business and industry awards. We're well known for our success in the Queen's Award for Enterprise competition and indeed the Queen's Honours List. So lots of very exciting awards, and I have to say this year has been just as fierce as any other year for awards, which is actually come as a bit of a surprise in some respects, and may have done to you as well as entrants, because when COVID struck back early in the year, we perhaps all thought that what was going to happen this year, and would businesses even realise that they still needed to get this kind of recognition to strengthen their brands. And we've seen a huge flood of entries across the board. So it's been really fantastic. So don't underestimate the achievement that you've actually already made just by getting to the presentations of these awards, because you've done superbly to get this far. So now, obviously, the important bit is, how are you going to get to the next stage? What are you going to do in your presentations? And how can you have the winning edge? So I'm going to go through some information today for you that just might help you to think about your presentation in a way that could be really beneficial for you on the day. And I'm very, very happy to take questions. I should say I judge on lots and lots of different awards programs. Obviously, I see awards from both sides of the table, so I can give you some really great insights into what's going on behind awards, and what you can really do to make sure that you stand out in your presentation. But first of all, before we actually get onto that information, I just wanted to sort of reiterate why we're even all here in the first place. Because after all, winning awards is actually quite hard work. You have to put a lot of effort in, as I'm sure you have all already realised. So why would you even bother? What's the point? What's going to drive you forward at this stage to give you that winning edge? So for me, I believe that external recognition builds real, true credibility for your business and for the people in your business and for yourself as a leader. That credibility, in turn, helps you to build trust. And that trust builds brand loyalty. Your customers, your partners, your suppliers, you want everybody to trust you. The more trust you have, the quicker those transactions will take place ultimately, because people want to work with you and they want to buy from you. And that brand loyalty is what's going to build your business. And using the awards, using the Lloyds Bank National Business Awards, the most prestigious award in the country, is going to help you to build that credibility, that trust and loyalty, and help you to build your business and take you on to the next step for your business goals. So today we're going to look at what the ultimate goal is here, and that is to how to win the awards, okay? So I'm going to go through a few areas. Obviously, we can't cover everything in absolute depth because we haven't got too long, but please use this opportunity. You've got Sarah and I in one place at one time to ask us questions about your presentation or about the awards process or anything that you're thinking about at the moment. Use this opportunity to ask us questions, and after the presentation, we will be able to feed back on those questions and give you as much information as we possibly can. So we are going through some five different points today. So first of all, we're going to talk about planning your presentation. Then we're going to talk about choosing your presentation tools. And actually, nowadays, while we're doing the presentations not live, not in face-to-face, they are live. They're going to be slightly different. How to select your presenter, how to create the winning content for your presentation, and how to present with confidence. So obviously, do think about those questions as we're going along. Okay. So first of all then, how to plan your presentation. So your presentation, in some respects, I always think, in some respects, an awards presentation is made a little easier for you because the format is given to you. It's not like you're rocking up at a business pitch thinking, well, what should we talk about? How are we going to really get them to engage with us? The format for this presentation is 30 minutes. That means you've got 15 minutes to present your story to the judges, and then you've got another 15 minutes to answer the judges' questions. So I should say that it's really, really important to stick to those timeframes, because occasionally there's a temptation to think, oh, if I make my presentation a bit longer, they won't have so many questions to ask me, and then because that's the bit that makes me feel nervous. Don't do that. The question time is super important, and it helps the judges to really get to the heart of what it is they're wondering about your business or about your project of what it is that you've done. And it's really important that they can do that so that they can give you the maximum scores possible for your initiative. Okay, so you will have 30 minutes altogether, and the chair of judges will give you a warning to let you know that you're coming to the end of your 15 minutes, and then you can have your 15-minute question time, okay, which is really important. So you need to think about, obviously, who's going to participate in that, and we'll go through that shortly. And you need to have a think about as well, what kind of questions might the judges actually ask us? Okay, and sometimes I think you'll never know because nobody can predict that, and judges don't have a formula for asking questions. They don't have predicted questions that they ask to everybody. They will be stimulated by your presentation and by what was in your award entry. So perhaps you could practice your presentation on a colleague or on a friend and actually see what questions that brings up. And what you'll find is if the same question keeps getting brought up by different people, then obviously there's a bit of a gap in your presentation where there's a knowledge gap, and actually that's what's stimulating those questions from happening. So think about the format of your presentation as well, and that would be how you're going to present for each criteria point. So if you think back to your award entry and the criteria that you had for that, it's the same criteria for your actual presentation. Okay, so your entry has got you this far and has got you enough points to get you into the final, but your presentation needs to get you to the top. And that's what's really important. Okay, now your presentation tools, obviously, going to be slightly restricted by the fact that this year we're online, but actually the most popular presentation tool anyway is PowerPoint. And I think for me, as a judge on different awards, I feel that actually PowerPoint works really well because you can run through the criteria in a nice linear format that's actually easy to follow and easy to understand by the judges. You'll be presenting on Zoom, so you need to be able to share your PowerPoint. So make sure you've had a good practice of doing that beforehand and it's not something you're completely unfamiliar with. I think the last 6 months with everybody working remotely, we've all become far more familiar with Zoom than anyone ever was before. So hopefully that shouldn't be too different for you now. So there will be So obviously you need to make sure Zoom is fully up to date and enabled on your laptop or your PC. And this is the only video software you're going to be able to use. So just make sure you've got all your settings right, you've tested your microphone, you know how to screen share your PowerPoint, and you're all ready for action. Also, your PowerPoint presentation needs to be sent into Sarah, the awards organisers, by 3 o'clock the day before. And that's just in case there's any issues on the day so they have a record. And there's more information about that and you'll find this information. So when you're putting your PowerPoint together, you need to bear in mind a few things. So one thing is that you've got that PowerPoint isn't 57 slides long, and how on earth are you going to present that within 15 minutes? So I think it's always nice to think, well, at least give yourself a minute a slide, because that will help you to manage your time better, and it'll help you while you're practicing as well to build up to using your time well. Sometimes, you know, obviously I'm talking to a range of you all here. Some of you may have presented at awards before, some of you may be completely unfamiliar with it. So practice makes perfect, and that will definitely help you. Another thing to avoid, I would say, is death by PowerPoint. So we've all been there, haven't we? We have been in presentations where the eyelids are drooping and we're falling asleep because actually it's really not very invigorating. So I would say, and I actually think I've judged awards recently on Zoom and live, obviously in years before, and I think there's just another level of passion and enthusiasm and spirit that can be shown through Zoom. So don't sort of think, well, I'm sitting at my computer, so I'll sit here, be quite reserved and just quietly talk away about my presentation. We still want to see the same energy and the same passion for your business as you would have been giving us face-to-face. So it's really important to really get that across and get the spirit and the ethos of your business and your values across through that presentation as well. The presentation is there to reiterate and highlight and bring out some of the points that you really want to bring to the forefront. It's not there to practically write a script and pop that up on the screen and hope the judges will just read it. while you're busy reading it as well, okay? Judges are here to find out far more about your project, about what you've been doing, and to dig deeper in their question time. So do what you can to bring that to life for them. So sometimes, if you're able to, that can mean playing a short video, if you're able to do that on your presentation. But 15 minutes is not very long. So do make sure that you have completely practiced getting within that time frame with whatever visuals and media assets that you're using to get your story across is really important. I should also say, I mean, this is something that comes up in the technicalities of these things, but, do make sure, obviously, Wi-Fi connection is a bit of an issue for everyone at the moment, as we're all on Wi-Fi all the time, but do make sure you've got a good connection. I'd say, hook up to an actual Ethernet cable as opposed to Wi-Fi if you can, and make sure you've got a hotspot available that you can switch to if you need to. I've had to do that during judging, and, I've been very thankful that I had it there, so do make sure that you can do that. So you need to obviously select your presenter. So for the Zoom presentation, you can have one senior representative making that presentation, which keeps it really simple and clean. And that means that's one person who can deliver the presentation with confidence. So you might know already, it's definitely going to be our CEO, that's who's presenting, or you might know, actually, no, it's not going to be that person. We need to pick out of these three people who's it going to be. So my tips for that would be who's going to present with confidence and enthusiasm and energy and passion, and who's going to be able to get your story across in a way that really captures the judges' attention, engages the judges, okay? Don't forget, they're not just watching one presentation that day. They might be watching 10. So you really want to make yourself stand out and shine for them. So who knows about the business or the project that you've done better than anyone else as well? Because don't forget, they've got to be able to answer all the judges' questions as well. And who's able to really highlight your company's unique achievements, because that's really important to make sure that your unique points stand out, okay? These are not cookie cutter style presentations. These are presentations that really bring your business to life and show the judges who you are and why really you should be one of the winners of the, one of the most prestigious awards in the country, and you're so much better than all the other companies, presenting that day. You've really got to make sure that you can stand out in that way. So think about what you can do to make yourself stand out. And when I say think about it, I don't mean wear a funny hat and think about gimmicks. I mean, think about how you can shine your values through your presentation, how you can get your passions through your presentation, how you can talk about, with real impact, what a difference you've made to your customers or your employees or your industry, whatever it is that you've done, how you can really pick that out and make it shine. So one little sort of template, I think, in some respects, for any kind of pitch, I think is this really lovely quote by Aristotle. And that's to tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them. And what that basically means is, tell them what you're going to tell them means make a really passionate introduction. Tell them where you got to, take them on that story in a couple of sentences so that the judges are already thinking, wow, this is going to be great. I'm really interested in this. I wonder what they've got to say. Then tell them. So this is where all your details, your nuts and bolts, your criteria content goes. So how are you going to tick off all that criteria by telling them all the details of what you've achieved? So what were the insights behind why you made decisions in the business? What actions have you taken in the business? And what outcomes have there been in the business? So you can really round up your story in that way. And then finally, tell them what you told them. And that means just bringing your presentation to a close with a real reiteration of your strengths and a reiteration of your results. So what is it that, how are you going to leave them feeling? That's what's important here. Okay, so leave on a high, start with a high, and keep all the detail in the middle. And that can be a really nice template and format for you. And obviously then honing that down within the time frame allowed. Also presenting with confidence, that there's a real trick to that, I think, especially if you're not used to it and especially if you're not used to Zoom. So practice is what's going to help you here. I sound like a boring school teacher saying that, but unfortunately that is the way. Practice does make perfect. So learn your notes for your presentation and practice. The great thing about Zoom is you can practice and record yourself and play it back and see how it goes, okay? You can practice, you can link up with a colleague or a friend, and you can practice to them and record yourself, get them to ask you some questions. And then you can use that recording to self-evaluate and think, okay, well, if I was judging this, how would I think that went, okay? Did I sound confident? Did I sound like I knew what I was talking about? Did I sound passionate? Did I sound like I was hiding information because actually I was trying to gloss over certain points? You know, be really critical of yourself in a positive way so that you can learn from that and ask for feedback so that you can continue to build in a presentation. If you have created a presentation, one draft, and knocked it out and think it's perfect, it's probably not, because they take a bit more work than that, okay? This is a really, really important award, so you need to really work hard at getting that presentation right. Okay, if you're tripping over your words in your script, you know, don't try. I think it's easy to think, well, I'll write myself a script, but actually on the day when you're presenting on Zoom, you can't follow a script. It's going to be really difficult. So really, it's making sure that you've got stimulus points on your presentation that help you to remember what you're going to be talking about, and also just maybe make yourself bullet point notes instead, so that actually, you know, you've got reference points of what you're going to talk about, but you're not trying to read off a script, because that doesn't tend to work that well on either face-to-face or on Zoom presentations. And also, I think sometimes when you've written a script, you actually undermine your own confidence, because you know this stuff. This is your business. This is what you're doing day in, day out. So if you give yourself the rein to just talk about it freely and try and let some of those anxieties go about presenting, you'll probably find that actually you get much more information across, and in a way that's much more engaging. But obviously you need those bullet points, you need those notes in place just to help you stay on track, not go off at a tangent, and keep to your time frame, which is really important as well, okay? Also, you know, practical things. People often say to me, well, I don't know what to wear. You know, dress for the occasion. This is a business awards presentation. Also, let's not forget, in this day and age, you know, screenshot your presentation of yourself and shout about it, and you know, use that as part of your promotional material. There's no reason why you can't talk about your experience and how positive it's been. So imagine, you know, how do you want to look? How do you want to appear to the judges? You know, we all had the jokes about wearing pajama bottoms and things on Zoom at the moment, but you know, anything can go wrong at any moment, and you might just have to stand up. So I would say really make sure that you're fully confident and dressed head to toe, and you know, you'd be really happy to be able to utilize that to share in your social media as well. So, you know, the more you go through that yourself, as I said, and the more that you record and self-evaluate, the more confident you're going to be. So I'm going to leave you with a lovely quote that I think actually really sums up how awards judging works, and that's, they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's something that's super relevant when it comes to awards presentations, because I know certainly the ones that I have judged, I can always remember how a winning team made me feel, and how they really stood out. So I'm going to leave you with that, because I'm thinking, well, if you've got any questions, then we'd love to have some time to answer those for you. If you don't want to ask questions publicly, you can always contact me. There's my details on the screen there, or you're very welcome to contact Sarah as well. For any of the kind of more practical and logistical questions, probably best to go to Sarah. So, Sarah, is there any questions that we have that anyone would like answered?
Yes, that's great. And thank you everyone for sending these through. We've had a couple of questions regarding this webinar and saying, is it being recorded? Yes, it is. And will we be sharing the slides? Yes, we will be. So please just look out for the emails that you've used to register for today, and we will send that out to you. We've had a question regarding, will you know the questions that will be asked before the presentations? Are there set questions from the judges? And the answer is no, they are not preset questions. As Donna touched on, it is a case of the criteria for the award is the same that you use to make your worthy entry form to get you to the finalist position. So please always use the criteria as a guideline. Obviously, this year is so incredibly different and challenging in its ways. So please prepare yourself for any related questions to how your business has fared in 2020, as I can pretty much predict that will be one of the questions from each panel. A separate question we've had is, how does the presentation content differ from the awards submission? What should we place emphasis on? So I'm going to give you my answer, and then I'll pass this to Donna as well. I suspect it might be similar. But it really is a case of that they've read your entry form. They've probably read it a few times, and they're incredibly diligent. They will have seen all of your financial submissions as well. Now, like in a similar vein of please don't do death by PowerPoint, please just don't simply read out what they've already read. And I think there might, given that we're going into this virtual space, I think there might be a temptation to do that because you're trying hard not to, you're trying to get your point across. But I really think what would be great is to bring out the real human elements. Reading an entry form is one thing, but you need to bring it to life and use examples, use human examples of whereby, say, for example, your business completely turned itself around, helping a member of its community, and use the names of the people and describe them and go into that detail. It's the human element that I think will really help you within this virtual setting. Donna, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think the point is I think sometimes, obviously, there's, the judges understand the criteria of the categories that they're judging. So, they need to see that you fulfill that criteria and you've got that in your award entry form, and that's brilliant. And then it's about bringing that criteria to life. So as Sarah said, it's about bringing, I always call it having a hero story. So, who's the hero in your business? Who's been the hero of the hour? Who's been the hero in, supporting your customers? Is it a particular team? Is it a particular person? Is there a story that you've got connected with the whole business? Perhaps you're changing your industry. What is it that you're doing that's really heroic and different? And that's what people engage with. So numbers and statistics and facts and figures, yeah, we need to know as judges because, that's what, in general, I say as judges, I'm not judging this, I should just say, because in general, that's, we need that to substantiate the stories that you're giving us. But really what we connect with, remember that judges are human beings too. We just want to hear really great things that you're doing in your business that we can really connect with. And I always think, can I put myself in the shoes of your customer? Can I put myself in the shoes of your contacts or your suppliers or whoever it is that you're working with and you're focusing on? Because if I think, wow, I'd love to be treated like that, or wow, that's amazing that they do that for their customers, then I'm going to feel more strongly about your business, perhaps than another one, and that's going to give me the feeling that's going to drive my behavior to give you more points, essentially. So yeah, really using this opportunity to bring your business to life is really your focus for your presentation. But obviously everyone's business is very different, and how you do that, it will vary hugely between all of you. So I can't give you a one-size-fits-all answer or a do exactly this thing and it will work solution. But just dig deep and then dig a bit deeper and think, right, actually, who are we really having an impact on? Who are we really changing the lives of? Are we saving people money? Are we making the industry better? Are we giving them more options than they ever had? Are we solving a problem? What is it that we're doing that makes a difference, and how can we bring that to life for the judges to see? That would be my solution, I'd say.
Great, thank you, Donna. More of a practical question here regarding, do slides have to be in PowerPoint or can we use Keynote? Unfortunately, we cannot accept Keynotes. Mainly because we don't have the functionality on our end to be able to use it as a backup if all goes horribly wrong. So unfortunately, please only use PowerPoint. We have a couple of questions. Will you be able to embed videos? Yes, if you, I sometimes do say, please please don't, or because then you find you're using real vital times just watching a video, whereas I think the spoken word can be more powerful, especially when you're telling the panel about your business. But yes, you can use them if you are confident that it is all prepped and working and will not use too much bandwidth and so on. But yes, if you are confident that that's the case, then please do.
Yeah, I just add to that, actually. I have judged awards recently on Zoom and seeing people use video. And at some points it worked and at some points it didn't. And that was down to the bandwidth. So I would say let's remember that for these presentations, then we're not face-to-face and we are on Zoom, which is video. So as a judge, it's like watching video on video. If you do use it, you need to enable it from your end on your Zoom as well to be able to share. You need to enable to share the sound for the video as well. So just bear in mind that, you know, if you do use it, that you know how to use it technically. Also, from, like Sarah was saying, bear in mind the amount of minutes that you've got. And if you are using it, sometimes I do think, you know, if you've got a great video that really brings a point to life, then that can be hugely powerful because you can pack a lot into that you can't bring to your actual presentation. I wouldn't make it more than about a minute long if you did, because then you're not sort of wasting time that's an opportunity for you with the judges. B, you're clearly packing something powerful into a video for a reason as opposed to time filling. And C, if anything does go horribly wrong, really there's only 1 minute of your presentation that you haven't been able to do, so it's not really a big deal. So I would just say use video if you absolutely have to, but if you don't and you can bring it to life in another way, this is your opportunity to do that. So it is a slightly different way of presenting. So just have a little think about how you could do that instead, perhaps.
Yeah, good advice. Another important question here: are the presentations publicly viewable as they've been given in, or are they private between the judges and the presenter? Quite very clearly, these are strictly private. Each of the judges signs a non-disclosure agreement as well. Anything that is mentioned between yourselves in that virtual room will not be extended outside the room unless it's with your permission. But in terms of the presentations, it is 100% confidential. So it's great to see how many questions are coming in. Somebody said our CEO is shortlisted in the entrepreneur category. Can he present, or should someone else really do it? I strongly recommend that it is the entrepreneur themselves, those particular categories. So entrepreneur and new entrepreneur, we are awarding the person as well as the business, but we really want to speak and hear from that person. Somebody has mentioned, can you share how many finalists are in that particular category? Absolutely. You will find it on our website. If you just have a little peruse at all the finalists, you'll be able to see who your competition is. As the presentation time is quite short, what should our focus be? Performance, project, community work, what are they most interested in? I mean, it's similar to what we touched on before. It really is a case of bringing that entry form to life, and focus on your key achievements. What would really impress the judges? Really think about what if you were on the other side of the table, what do you want to hear? What would impress you? Do we include much more up-to-date info, as in the most recent month since our submission? If it's something that's an achievement, you want to talk about it, most definitely. Again, this year is really different, so I really recommend that you bring the stories to life. And yes, if things have changed, and even if they've not changed necessarily for the better, I think the more human you can be and talk about how you've coped with it. The judges are humans, they are compassionate, and they will understand. In terms of finding out, someone's put simply who are the judges. On our website, you'll be able to find under the Our Judges section who your panel is. Please note that there are probably going to be a couple more additions on there, but the majority of them are their bios and job titles, everything's on there, so you'll be able to help you. Will we be sharing our screen for the PowerPoint presentation? why are we sending it the day before? That's a really good question. Yes, you will be sharing your screen, but we need the PowerPoint presentation in case it all goes wrong. And say, for example, it ends up being that you phone us up and you present over the phone when we can't necessarily see you, but we've got the PowerPoint as a backup. Gosh, we've never had so many questions. It's brilliant. What is the reason for limiting the number of presenters? I'm afraid it is social distancing rules. We cannot encourage at this point lots of people gathering in front of one screen. So that hopefully clearly answers that question. And I think it also streamlines everything, keeps it really clean and simple. This person presenting needs to be your champion and needs to be completely prepped and aware of everything that's going on with the business, so they can win the awards for them. Right. Sorry, they keep coming in, which is brilliant. Sorry, I'm just trying to prioritize. If you just bear with me 1 second. I've joined the business.
And something I'll just. Sorry.
Oh, carry on, Donna.
I was just going to say, I just wanted to refer back to one of the questions that you were just answering earlier about should we bring in up-to-date information, I think it's really nice actually when you can say, actually, since we made our submission, this has happened and this has happened, and actually bring the judges up to date with where you are now. But the other thing I was going to say is that don't be afraid to talk about the challenges that you've had. I actually think it really resonates in an awards presentation when we don't all pretend that everything is perfect, and we all know that this year is not perfect, and we don't get me wrong, we don't want sub stories, because at the end of the day, you haven't got enough time for that. You've got to keep this really, really positive, and in that you want to get all the most positive information across that you can. But be honest and be real, and actually talk about the challenges that you've faced, but then talk about how you're overcoming them. And now whether that's you've managed to overcome them already, or whether that's you've got a plan in place for overcoming them, or you've got ideas, or you're pivoting in some way, whatever that is, we as judges will be really intrigued always really intrigued to hear about challenges and about how they're overcome. So don't be afraid to bring us up to date, but also to be really real about that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, good advice. One question, if we've submitted for more than one award, should we tailor our pitch to each individual award? Absolutely, yes. The criteria does vary. The basics of growth, innovation, team engagement, and financial performance, those key headings are the same, but there is different weightings. And of course, there's a different discipline between the different awards. So the Growth Through Innovation Award will be judged differently to the SME Award. So please be mindful of that. Do we need to stick to the weightings for our presentations, or cover each area? Just cover each area and be mindful of the weightings. Again, for the growth category, you really want to talk about your growth an awful lot compared to, say, for example, work that you've been doing in the community. Whereas, for example, the Positive Social Impact Award, the work you do in your community is definitely going to have a higher weighting for that particular category. Will stories about how we've adapted to COVID-19 and helped our customers during this time have value for the Entrepreneur Awards? Yes, please be mindful of the Entrepreneur Awards. We are judging the person, mainly over the business. So yes, it is your core values that we will be wanting to hear about. In which case, can we please share a simple PDF copy of the presentation, especially as we don't use PowerPoint? I can't well, again, it's the same as before. We would prefer a PowerPoint presentation. If this is simply not possible, then please do send the PDF. But it's essentially having a backup. Can we send samples of our product after the awards interview? Unfortunately, on this occasion, unfortunately, the judges won't be accepting samples from anybody. It's a little bit more difficult as we're all, of course, in a virtual room and not everyone is at one simple address. We are not allowed to give out addresses of our judges either, so unfortunately I'm afraid we cannot accept samples, but you are able to show them visually through Zoom. And apologies, just trying to get through them.
Also, I'm just going to add on to that as well, Sarah, that Tom, you've said, can we send samples for a product after the awards interview? I think will the judging for the award be completed on that day? So anyway, anything afterwards is not going to be relevant.
Yeah, good point. I think if you are using it as a product placement piece either, it can't be done. But yes, the winner will have been chosen by that point. So yes, good point.
Yeah.
You have joined the business since the entry was submitted. Can you please read them the criteria? Yeah, the criteria can be found on our website, so hopefully you'll be able to see anything. If you have any problems or any questions like this that we haven't answered, please do contact either myself or my colleague Charlotte in my team. I'm trying to get through all of these, but we do have an awful lot, and I'm trying not to double up for people that have asked multiple versions of the same question. Do we get feedback on our entries after the winners have been announced? Yes, you will. We're constantly collating feedback. So please bear with us if we can't do it sort of the day after the actual ceremony, but we will do our best to get it to you. And the judges will really, this year more than ever, really want to make sure that they're doing all that they can to help support your business. I think that's, apologies, I think that's most of it. I'm not sure, Donna, if you're...
Yeah, no, that's absolutely great. So I think the main, obviously people, for everyone listening, presenting on Zoom is a bit different this year, but please don't be anxious about it or concerned about it, because you're going to really enjoy it. It's a great opportunity. And remember as well, you're getting your business in front of some really good judges as well. So, you're already getting in the room with some people who are going to think, wow, that's a great business. I want to know more about that. And I know certainly from, businesses that we've worked with over the years, that how afterwards, after their presentations, actually they've come away with great contacts. They've come away with, later on, they've made relationships with those people and actually become mentors and all sorts. So you're in the room with a really good set of people ready there and they're there judging your business, but they're rooting for you. They want you to do really well. They're rooting for you to tell them all the positive things that they want to hear, and to be able to celebrate your business. So try and look at it from that perspective with the judges. They're not there to criticize you. They're not there to think, oh, that's not very good. They're there to really bring out the best in your business and really learn more about your business. So this is such a great opportunity. Really embrace it for everything that you can to bring everything positive to those 15 minutes. And don't panic as well. If you get asked a question that you're not sure the answer about, don't panic about that. You can be honest and say, I can't give you too much information on that at the moment because I'd need to go and, speak to somebody or research about that. But actually what I can tell you about instead is, and so think about how you can manage your questions really well. But I certainly know from feedback from previous years of judging and feedback with businesses we've worked with, that they always, they come out of the awards presentation feeling super positive and feeling like, wow, that was a great experience to present with those in front of those judges, and they were all lovely and they all asked us great questions, and it was actually really enjoyable. So bear that in mind as well, because it is going to be it should be a really enjoyable occasion for you too.
Great, thank you, Donna. We have a couple of questions regarding the ceremony itself, and I want to be slightly more formal on this point, in that we are currently working very closely with the parent company of the National Business Awards, our headline sponsor Lloyds Bank, all of our other sponsors, and our advisory board, to ensure that we can deliver a very safe event for you. The information regarding that will be released shortly, and we will be able to let you know the intricacies of this. I want to reassure you that you will receive the recognition that you deserve. We will meet again. We will meet again as soon as we safely can. But I'm afraid I can't give out further detail on that. But please do look out for the formal announcement from myself, which is coming in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's good for all of us to focus on the upcoming judging and making sure that we're fully prepped for this in the meantime, and then we'll be able to help you with all other queries after that. I think that might conclude for today, and hopefully we've answered as many questions that we possibly can. I want to thank you for all of your questions and participation today. I want to give particular thanks to Donna for your presentation. It's just brilliant to get all these things out in the open at this point. And if you have any further questions, please do contact me, members of the team, and we'll come back to you as soon as we can. And hopefully it will have provided a really good starting point for the judge, for yourselves. And what I also want to say at the very end is that once again, a huge congratulations for getting to this point. Like I said at the beginning of this presentation, we had more entries than before. Everything was it was really fierce, and we can really see how much you guys are really sort of going for it this year, and how much you really want to win these awards. And you're not only putting yourselves on a platform to say that we're the best in our sector, you're putting yourselves on a platform to say, no, we're the best in this country. And I think this year more than ever, that's a really powerful message. So I want to say once again, a really big congratulations and a really big thank you. That concludes our webinar for today. Like I said, please do get in touch if you need to, and I look forward to seeing you in a virtual room very soon.
Thank you, Sarah, and good luck from me as well. Goodbye, everyone.